Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined alongside Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia. And Ziggy, we were saying right before we started, we didn't expect to be recording today, but a lot of breaking news in the NFL. So we're going to have a couple little breakout clips, not a full episode or anything, but just a few breakout clips on some of the biggest stories. And, you know, a huge one that happened yesterday. I was actually at the Big East tournament, Ziggy. I don't know how much you knew about my whereabouts last night, but I was at the Big East tournament cheering on Villanova, and all of a sudden I looked down at my phone and I see you guys blowing it up in all caps from Ziggy. Keenan Allen to the Bears. I just looked over at my brother and went, oh, geez, all right. Another huge addition to the NFC North. What was your first thought when you saw that trade?
Yeah, my thought was another huge addition to the NFC North that's not going to the Vikings. I mean, Keenan Allen, I think he's had some injuries over the years, but when he's been able to play, he's been effective. And I mean, he put up nearly 1,300 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. You know, him next to DJ Moore is going to be huge because on the Chargers, you know, Mike Williams wasn't always healthy. They didn't really have a slot receiver. The Bears offense, I think, has a real chance to be incredibly explosive, and they got him so cheap. I love this move from the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, it's one of those trades where you look at it and say Keenan Allen for a 4th-round pick. I wish my team did that. Basically, every fan in the NFL is going to look and say, oh, I traded a 4th-round pick for Keenan Allen, even at 31 years old. You're right. The question has never been production with Keenan. It's about, can he stay healthy and be on the field? And last season, he finished with 108 receptions, most in his career. You said 1,243 yards was the second most in his career. 7 touchdowns, the third most. A banner season for Keenan Allen, and he did it while missing the final 4 games of the season. So he was just unbelievable when healthy. That's really been the story of his entire career. So I love the move for Chicago in terms of getting another weapon next to DJ Moore after Darnell Mooney left and went to the Falcons. It's really a great situation now that the Bears have built up for Caleb Williams to come into with Allen, Moore, Kmet, DeAndre Swift. I mean, how many places can you really look at the offenses and say there's a better group of talent around a rookie quarterback?
Yeah, you know, the offensive line improved significantly last year. They've got a lot of young guys, but there was a stretch in the middle of the season from like week 6 to like week 11 or 12 when they were all healthy and playing pretty well. So yeah, the thought that it's going to be like a Carolina situation where you step in, there really aren't guys to throw to. The offensive line is bad. The running backs are bad. The Bears are a very different situation. And I know some Bears fans were upset that the Bears sat out on free agency. I saw a lot of people upset they didn't go and get Christian Wilkins in particular. Yeah. I like the decision. Now that we know all the facts, I really like the decision to focus on the offense. Defense was good enough last year. You don't need an elite defense, but you want as good a situation as you can possibly have for your rookie quarterback who's going to step in.
Yeah, and the defense came on in the second half of the season.
They were good.
Towards the end of the year, they were playing as one of the better units in the league. I mean, Montez Sweat came over and really changed the course of what that defense looked like. So if you could get that similar production you had defensively going into this year, now you're looking at an offense that you can say, okay, Caleb, you got everything you want. Like, let's go make it happen. I really do think the Bears have fringe wild card potential for this season. A lot of people in the comment section, and to be fair, a lot of our fans are Packers fans, so they're not going to be extremely supportive of any pro Bears claims. But when you look at Chicago, if Caleb comes out and can be, you know, three quarters of what CJ Stroud was last year, there's a lot of talent on this roster. I think this is the most promising outlook the Bears have had for a season, like legitimately promising, because the Mitch Trubisky years, I know they went 13-3 and had a great season.
It was a mirage.
You never really felt confident in those teams. At least I didn't. They had 29 forced turnovers or something like that.
You're not repeating.
That's not replicable. This is the first time, though, in a while where I'm looking at Chicago saying, I think they're onto something here. Like, I believe in what Ryan Poles is doing.
Yeah, they clearly had a plan going into this offseason, right? We're not going to spend on really big free agents. We're going to extend our guys. And if the opportunity comes, I think a lot of teams were eyeing the Chargers because they had to let one of these big guys go.
They're letting everyone go.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, they kept Bosa and Mack, right? But they were either going to let the defensive guys go or the offensive guys go. So the Bears, I think, they have that relationship with the Chargers. They've done some big trades of them before. were just sort of sitting back and waiting for the opportunity. And then when it came, they struck. So, the Chargers offense, their number one receiver right now is Quinton Johnson. And we
Ugh.
saw how that went last year. So I have no idea how that's going to go.
It's
But the
funny.
Bears
Yeah, go
sure
ahead.
benefited a lot.
Oh, 100%. It was funny because when Mike Williams was released, we were talking in our group chat about how Detroit should maybe go after him. Chicago could be a good spot, because DJ Moore just needed a counterpart with the
This
loss
is
of Mooney.
a much better
And
counterpart.
yeah, and that's I remember looking at my phone saying, "Wow, they didn't get Mike Williams." I mean, they took it up a step. Keenan Allen really is, borderline top 10 receiver in the league. When he's healthy, almost certainly is. Um, the one concern I have for Chicago is the offensive line on the offensive side of the ball, where you're right, the unit played a lot better, but even with the additions this offseason, I think they've signed like 3 or 4 new offensive linemen to the team.
No elite
But yeah,
guys.
nothing elite. It's a more of a quantity over quality signings. So look, if a couple of those guys step up, if a few of those guys step up, Caleb Williams could have a really a dominant rookie season. DJ Moore
Well,
and Keenan Allen's gonna be the most underrated receiving duo in the league.
well, that's what I like a lot about this trade is before when you're looking at mock drafts, everyone was talking about how the Bears had to take a receiver with their second pick in the first round at number 9, right? Because they needed to get another guy next to DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Now that you have Keenan Allen, you can save that for one of your later picks. This is a really deep receiver class. You don't need immediate production. You can take one of the more interesting projects, let him learn behind 2 respected veterans. I'm really interested to see. I think the Bears now are going to be looking to take an offensive tackle, right? Improve that offensive line. If Joe Alt falls or that kid out of Penn
Yeah.
State, like there are a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
interesting tackles in this draft. You're no longer tied to a receiver. Defensive players will be available. So they just have so much more flexibility in the draft than they did going into yesterday.
Yeah, you can't trot out DJ Moore and really that was it. It was DJ Moore and Cole Kmet as
Velus
your receiving out.
Jones.
Yeah, I mean there just wasn't there wasn't enough for Caleb Williams, but now you're right. You can address the offensive line. If there's just a game record that Chicago falls in love with on the defensive side of the ball, you know, load up there. It does create more flexibility with that number 9 pick. Even look, they could even trade back and continue to stockpile picks if they want. I think they're in a great spot, Chicago, and a lot of fans might be a little bummed out because I know that there were murmurings of, oh, we should try and go up for a Malik Neighbors or a Marvin Harrison Jr., which you have to think is not going to happen right now. I mean, you never
But I
know.
mean, you
You
still
never know.
could, right? If there's a play, this lets them do whatever they want. Keenan Allen, he's only on the Bears. He's only signed for 1 more year. If they like him, they can extend him. But I mean, we saw this in Cincinnati. It's not like it's bad to have 3 really good receivers,
No,
right?
they'll need another one. They need one more. Yeah, I still think it would be very beneficial for Chicago to either sign someone or address it. That's the thing with receivers. You can get someone in 3rd or 4th round and be very comfortable with them coming in as the number 3 option, and that's another reason this trade is so nice. But yeah, for a 4th round pick, all these opportunities are opened up. It's so worth it. Great job by Ryan Poles. I even if it's just for a year, yeah, it's a year of helping Caleb Williams develop. It's a year of a top 10 receiver in the league on your roster, and you never know. You just never know. So I love it. Any closing thoughts on Keenan Allen to Chicago?
It's just, I feel like as a Vikings fan, I'm sitting back here. I've seen 3 teams in the NFC North get better this offseason. And the Vikings are going in a very different direction.
Oh
So I
well,
think next year
we
could
knew that
be
was going to
tough.
happen. We knew that had to
So,
happen.
but I'm not sure. Kurt could have re-signed again. We kind of knew it was going to happen, but don't you just feel that a little bit? Like you see the Packers adding guys, you see the Bears adding guys, you see the Lions fixing the cornerback situation, and you just think next year is going to be tough.
Oh, it's going to be tough, but I'm actually comfortable with where the Vikings are at. It's going to look. They have to hit on the quarterback, and
Well, yeah, I like to see with the move the Vikings made today. It seems like they're starting to become aware of that and are making plans for the future.
yeah, and we'll hit on that in the next video, which should be coming out quite shortly. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.